Hello and welcome to the Ratnest podcast, episode number 70 something with Candies 22, Exist and Barfly. Let's go.
Hey, thank you for being here with us, guys. Today with us, man. It's an honor to have you guys here.
Hell yeah. Welcome back, Exist. Nice to meet you, Barfly. Super stoked that you guys took some time to sit down with us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah. Thanks for bringing me back. It feels like I was just here, but it's like you said, it's been a year or two.
Dude, almost two, I think 2 years. Like you were episode 14. We just finished up episode 73, like a little bit back. We're kind of getting on the new block of episodes. So it's amazing to have someone of, your insight and caliber to fucking take the time to sit back down after you already know how bad we are at this, you know?
No, you made me look good last time, so hopefully I can pull that shit off again. We'll see.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a great interview. And just want to point out that it is still one of the most watched episodes and continually watched episodes that we have. So
most liked and commented episodes that we have on YouTube. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check out episode 14 with Existereo. It's fire.
It's dope. And shout out to all, you got an amazing fan base, obviously, bro. So shout out to all your fans.
Yeah, our fans, are amazing individuals. That's kind of the fuel under our ass in a weird way. Because we, as far as Candies goes, like we love Candies. We're speaking for myself. It's my most proudest project, like I said before. And it's something that it's like a labor of love where like we almost make it just for us to hear in a weird way. Like a lot of the stuff, we appreciate it incredibly, but we don't know if others will. We don't care to see if they will or not, or we didn't. And then so many people, we've had this album more or less finished vocally for 5 years. We started about 7 years ago. We finished in the first 2 as far as the meat of it. And then the mixing just became a lot of too many cooks in the kitchen in different states.
Oh, you know what I mean?
And it was hard. Seattle, California. It was just like.
Uh-oh.
Lost you. Hold up.
We froze up.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If my end or your end? I thought I had pretty good Wi-Fi.
Yeah. We got you. No, I don't know. It might be our end.
It just tripped out for a second. And it came back strong. It says that we got full here. So
we'll cut that out. Don't worry.
Just basically that fucking, we kind of not lost hope, but it was like we were happy with what we heard. And we didn't, and everybody just kept bugging us like, man, please let us hear it. And we're like, well, it's not at a place where you get to hear it. But we didn't really, I don't know, but whatever it was, they pushed us to the point where it was like, dude, we owe it to these people that have like stuck with us as much as we kind of dropped the ball in life in general, aside from our careers or whatever, how you want to word that. And really, I owe it to the people, like why I'm back here and doing this shit and want to. But it's not like out of obligation. It was like I wanted to, and then it reignited my whole shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like now I'm just about it. I had a real, there's so much weird shit. I had a weird vocal block for years. I couldn't write lyrics because this is like weird shit. I just like figured out therapy and all this shit. A fucking dude, a really awesome individual, Rec One from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He's a promoter, and he used to book all of us, and he was like a super Exist Candies fan, and he shot himself listening to "Cut Me Gently" with Me and Di from Dirty Deeds.
Fuck.
Oh man.
And he's got a family and kids, and I don't know, man. I didn't realize how much it kind of impacted me. That thing happening, that I know he didn't do it because of my song, but the fact that it was on repeat, they found his body.
Yeah, but all right. So let me jump in there, just because I went back and I listened to like all the Candies albums and some of the the earlier Exist stuff too. And some of that shit when, 2000, early 2000s, mid 2000s, you're fucking sad, bro. You know what I mean? Like you were in a thing, struggling with drugs and just life itself, and does
You could really tell the emotion in a lot of those songs.
But where does that, I mean, you had to get that off your chest.
It's like I don't hold like Sid Vicious and Bukowski, you know, I think I might have mentioned this before even. Like I don't hold these people accountable for my outcome, even though they were super influential.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I hear that for sure.
It was my decision into where I wanted to allow the depth of their persuasion to come into my life. You know what I mean? And I could have just saw it or embraced it. And for whatever reason, like I said before, you know, I just felt like I had to fucking be as far away from reality to accomplish originality. And that somehow also became hand in hand with addiction, you know, and I didn't really plan it that way.
Yeah, it's
I used to go party my ass off. I've been partying since, I've been smoking weed since second grade with my mom. Like, no shit, you know? Like, for real. I got brought home multiple times, second, third grade, stoned as shit by cops for ditching school in Western, blah, blah, blah. And my mom was like, this is 80 shit, you know? Maybe, I don't know. She's like, yeah, they're giving out PCP, you know, if you're going to smoke, at least smoke here. And that became like the thing. And it was like, whatever. Drugs has never been like this for me until opiates became a crazy thing. And I was like, you know, 12th grade kind of shit, whatever. And it just changed everything. It just took it in. It became this whole fucking monster that I just fought on and off and on and off. And my records would go back and forth from being like, I gotta be positive and trying to do like Hopeless Crooks and things where it's like, I'm tired of being so miserable. And even in Hopeless Crooks, the happy shit, if you really dissect the lyrics, it's like, I'm fucking bummed out, you know?
Right.
But I feel like there's always some underlying message of like, but it's okay. Like, that's fucking life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not always going to be great, and it might be shitty more than it is good, you know, but there is good, and you have to kind of work to navigate to make that shit available in your life, you know, and the quality of life and all these things I just did not put into the equation for the overall outcome of happiness.
Yeah. You know, and
I mean?
To be clear, I'm not saying that you were putting like drugs and that kind of lifestyle like in a positive light. It was always like your internal struggle with it, right? It's like it's always your.
It's like you're sad with me. I'm not telling you to be sad.
Right.
You know, like that's it's like we were doing it together. You know, I feel like that's how I was sharing me with you. I wasn't being like, this is how you should be, you know? And so I don't think you're accusing me of anything. But yeah, I was fucking miserable, bro. I was always in some heartbroken bullshit thing and, you know, excuses. But it was all really, now I know better. I used the fucking woe's me hashtag for the excuse of my usage. You know, I allowed everything to be like, you don't understand what my life is. That's why I do this shit. You know what I mean? But it was just an excuse to justify me wanting to do more fucking heroin. You know what I mean? But and I didn't need to surround myself in
as an addict too. As an addict, you're gonna find any excuse. It didn't matter what the excuse was, right? It's always like an excuse to use. You know, it's
but it's like, you know, it's like I'm swimming with sharks and then being like, you know what it's like, it's dangerous over here. Like I'm the one in the fucking water. You know, and I'm like, well, that's why I need these flotation devices. You don't understand. It's like, well, you don't need to be in that fucking water, dude. It's like, oh yeah, I guess if you want to look at it that way, like an adult. But I always, you know, defy my goddamn insanity. I was out of my mind on a lot of shit, you know. It's well documented for many years. And,
you know,
that's why people thought me and him should be good friends, because they were like, "Oh, he's the most fucked up guy I've ever met. You guys got to know each other." So that's how that came to me.
You'll like this guy.
Not to get, you know, super into all that, but point being, why I didn't mean to deviate so hard, but that shit that happened with Rec affected me deeply, and I didn't realize how much it affected me, and I felt like if I say run into a wall, you're gonna run into a wall. You know what I mean? And I was scared to write anything, but I'm fine. And I've been recording now. I did the 2Max Posse cut, and we've been doing all this new shit, and it's just flowing out, and everything's finally crossing the roads. This thing's happening, and when they decide to meet up isn't really up to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's happening right now for whatever reason. We're pulling the shit off. We've been trying to pull this off for 7 years, more or less, finish this record. But right now, it's going like butter. We found an engineer that was able to kind of decipher our insanity of our descriptions, you know what I mean? And make sense of it and clean the record the way we wanted it clean without losing its character.
Nice.
You know what I mean? There was this fine line of like, oh, now it's good, it's polished, but it sounds, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I like the roughs and blah, 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 blah. And now we're happy. We're very happy with it. And we're super proud of this record.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to hear it. I'm not going to lie. And because of, I think what you're talking about just a moment ago, though, like that authenticity that goes into your guys' stuff, you could tell that it's really you. It is what you're going through. You can feel it, you know? And I'm sure that had to play a part in the writer's block that you were having, because you realized that you are having an influence. You are having an effect on people's lives with the words that you're saying. And not that they can take it however they want, but that has to be a heavy weight on your shoulders, knowing like, yo, when I say something, people are listening, and I better check what I'm saying. Like it really is a heavy one.
I knew they were listening. I knew it gave them, anybody that was my fan, you're only my fan because you connect. And if you connect, you're feeling it, you know? And so you're feeling what I'm trying to convey. I knew they were feeling it. I didn't think of it as being influential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought of it sharing vibes, you know? And when it just became a whole different thing. I've had arguments with friends over this, and I'm just like, you can't keep writing these songs about fucking cheerleaders and doing oxy and whatever, you know? It's like, it's just so terrible. It's a promotion of just insanity and an unsustainable lifestyle, blah, 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 blah. And, but that was more on like being directly like, fuck cheerleaders and do oxy, you know? It wasn't this vague poetic way. It wasn't an artistic statement where it's open to interpretation. You know what I mean? It was a fucking direct statement. And that's where I'm like, you can't influence, you know, that's where I looked at things as influential. I didn't think of our stuff as influential. I thought of it as interpretable. Sure. You know, and you can get the influence out of it that talks to you. I feel like art, like that's art. When I look at art, it shouldn't tell me what to fucking think. Right. It should make me want to think something, you know?
So how do you feel about that, Barfly, being an author and writing books to where literally your words are like what people are reading and the points that you're trying to make? How do you feel about that influence vibe that you're able to find or have with your voice?
As far as perceiving myself as an influence, and I think the way I've approached this subject matter has been more from a perspective of, well, if people want this sort of content, I'm going to give them the gritty, ugly truth of it. You're not going to be fucking Scarface. You're going to have a miserable fucking time.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what that's been my approach to it. And, you know, yeah, like Courtney's touched on, that's probably one of the perils that, you know, you hope to avoid is coming off as glamorizing this. You know, we've chosen some pretty rough roads to trod. And I think we've been pretty honest about what we were going through. And I wouldn't perceive that as being glorification, but it's a fine line. You know?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and it's your story. So it's not like you don't want to hide or cloud that authenticity by trying to hide a part of it or whatever. But yeah, you're right. That fine line of glorification or just influence, or this is what brought me to this place, you know?
And there's exaggeration and being grandiose of your reality. And then there's like your understanding of your reality, you know? And for us, rap, hip hop, whatever you want to call it, is the real fucking shit is not a character that you created to market and sell to a demographic. It's your voice.
It's self-expression
of your fucking hood, of your fucking clique, of your whatever the fuck. It's the voice of that authenticity thing because it is that thing. It doesn't need to learn to do something to adapt to a market understanding. Because it is the thing. The market is what finds it and likes it.
That's right.
You know? Yeah. And then
so fucking mechanized and controlled by a system that it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, whatever. But we just want to hold on to like, this is my truth, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not telling you to do it or not do it, but this is my autobiography in a sense.
Hell yeah.
And I'm not embellishing, but I'm also not going to underplay it because it's the truth. Otherwise, it's something other. It's a story as opposed to the truth.
That's exactly it.
And our lives have been fucking rough, man. Like, we didn't make smart choices. It's been fun. It's been, you know what I mean? Do I got a lot of good stories? Fuck yeah.
I was gonna say, if anyone has any questions about what we're kind of like referencing right now, is like, go back, listen to episode 14 with Courtney, and listen to the crazy stories this fool has from being a fucking kid in LA, finding, hearing about people's heads getting cut off, people's legs get cut off, being in fucking crews, getting fucking racked up. Like, it's wild. But that's just reality. So art is based off our own realities, as you're saying. And, whether it's painting, making movies, making music, whatever it is, it's going to reflect some sort of thing that you got brought up with. Right. So,
you're truly a product of your environment.
Right.
Totally.
So there's no hiding that.
If you're able to harness that and project that, then you're suicidal tendencies. You know what I mean? You're the band locked something in that nobody was doing because it didn't come from anyone. You're the one doing it. Your place are the ones doing it, and you harnessed it, and now it's in history forever because you got it out that way. That's the key,
dude. And that's some of our favorite art, even beyond music. We were talking in the last episode. You brought up fucking William Burroughs and him killing his wife by trying to shoot an apple off her head and shit, and then making that movie about it. And like, the movie's based on him writing this book. Barfly, I don't know if your name comes from the Bukowski book, but the fact that you write and that your name's Barfly, like, that shit is crazy to me because that's some of the darkest, craziest shit like I've ever experienced in my youth. Like, in high school, like, I read those books, and I was like, fuck, this is so far out of my realm. Like, it's amazing to be able to like put that out to the world and be like, this is me and this is how I feel.
Yeah. The moniker is definitely derived from Bukowski, and I figure, whenever I made the decision to go with that name, it was just I think a succinct starting point for understanding what I was going to convey. But it's quite a departure from what from that point to here. It's been obviously a lot of different paths than that. But I mean, I don't mean to shirt that or whatever. It's it's apt.
It's like Barfly was such a alcoholic kind of, not character, because it was him. It wasn't a character. He wasn't doing something in character. That's him. And it just happened to go with the name Barfly or whatnot. But it's something it's hard to shake once it's so associated to something beyond just you. Because you hear Barfly, you think you cast, you think the movie, you think you're throwing up on yourself and you're shitting blood and whatever. You know what I mean? And it might have been that at one point, but it ain't necessarily now. So to hold on to, so I'll go by Barfloco or whatever. Not nothing ashamed of Barfly, but it's like even Existereo, where I'm more a stereo based. Or it was just a different time in our lives. We're still that person, but an evolution up.
And Barfloco is easier to Google.
It comes up first.
It doesn't get mixed up. Yeah. It doesn't have like 80 other reviews or like something.
Yeah, that was the thing that because I kind of, Burroughs and Bukowski, my two dogs. That's my favorite shit right there. Those two. It's the booze and the dope. Right there is the bottom line of it. And I was, as a younger idiot, fancied myself Burrow-esque, you know what I mean? And like thought my writing was transcending some kind of level of whatever.
As we all do. We all do that shit.
And when people were like, you gotta meet this dude Barfly, and I'm thinking of the whole crazy, like I mentioned before, I was like, JFK, I don't know, but what are these names? Who do these guys think they are? And especially Barfly, I almost took offense to it. Because I was like, this motherfucker better be a drunk. You know what I mean? And dude, first impression, I was like, you win, you got it, you're the man. And that's why I was just like, fucking dude, I feel like we're in my own little ego bubble of fucking kind of this weird underground, where the underground Bukowski and Burroughs, dude. Like, that's us right there.
Hell yeah.
So Barfly, how would you say, Winding Up Strangers in Bars, your first book came out in 2015. How would you say this next book that you're working on compares, at least as what we're talking about now, the change in your situation from when you wrote that first one to what you're writing now. How would you say the evolution from that book to this book has kind of taken place?
Well, it's odd. Like I have a queue of fiction that I work on, and it's really big, and I don't know that I'll ever, be able to work through that queue. It's whatever sort of becomes an obsession enough to, call my attention for a long enough time. But right now I've got traction with the book I'm working on, and the title that I'm working with is The Outsider's Guide to I'm sorry. The title that I'm working with is God, what is it? I'm sorry. The Outsider's
It's a
Guide
working title. It's fine, dude.
It's The Outsider's Guide to Generating Wealth and Gathering Influence.
Oh, damn. All right.
It's fiction. These titles seem like they might be nonfiction or some sort of weird instructional book. But the first novel is it's written in the first person present tense for the most part. It's very much taking you into a character's inner narrative, and that can be a pretty big demand on a reader.
Sure.
And this one is written in the third person, and it jumps around a little bit in time. And it actually has revealed itself to be a sequel to that book. I didn't know that it was going to be, and that sort of worked itself out recently. But what's different about it is the fact that it's written in the third person, and the fact that it's more it's in the current, it's more acquainted with the present state of affairs in the world.
Sure,
the characters are dealing with
But
a lot of odd things that
you feel like the two work in the same universe, so it's like the same like story, the same realm you started with the first novel, that this one kind of continues on through.
It actually features two of the focal characters from the first novel are actually involved in this. So yeah, it is in the same universe.
Right on. So do you find writing fiction gives you the same kind of therapeutic out as like if you were writing songs or if you're writing in a journal or whatever? Because I know for me, and it sounds like Stereo too, when you're writing your songs, it really is kind of like therapy. You know what I mean? You get a lot of your shit out on the page. Do you find that it's the same when you're writing like fiction like that?
In a lot of ways, yeah. And in fact, it can be a little bit more satisfying in some ways. It scratches two different itches for sure. But getting acquainted with these characters is like getting acquainted with people that you become fond of, and you enjoy writing about them and writing the things that they're going through and the things that they're going to say. And yeah, that can. I mean, you have to become somewhat preoccupied with them because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. Yeah. And it's not as brief in the experience as writing a song. Writing a song is very cathartic, very much in the moment, where you're going to revisit these people's ways of thinking and being in the world over and over again for months.
Yeah. So, you're going to really get to know them.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think like writing a song or whatever, you usually have a directed vibe or whatever. But writing a book is such a big, long story that there's so many vibes within it.
Yeah.
It's not, you have to like explore for, become it, like where a song, it's that moment, like you said, that you fucking, I feel that beat, like I know what to do right now with that thing.
Yeah.
That's the catharticism for me. But like writing linearly, like most of my rap stuff, I just do this Burroughs shit where you just write. Doesn't matter what it is, just write it down. Anything in your head, just keep writing. And then try to fucking mix it. He'd go and then tear that shit up and put different pages together in pieces and make new sentences out of construct. It was wild. But with that, I just kind of, you know, almost highlight, I'm like, there's a great line. There's something interesting. Things I just wouldn't have been able to write if I was objectively trying to write a titled track. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to make a song about cars. You know what I mean? Like, I would, but if I was just writing, I might have wrote the weirdest shit about cars in my life, you know, or the best, not trying to, you know. I feel like that's more like writing.
It's almost really like
you're living it for a while.
It's almost like when you're writing music, forgive the pun, you're like staying on track, like on a track. But when you're writing like a novel, it's almost just like an open field that you get to run around in, you know.
And you get to edit, you get to go back, you get to take time. Like, well, I mean, if we were proper musicians and we made things the way they're supposed to, we do have time to edit as well. But West Coast underground, we learn how to read people's closets that don't have patience and don't know what a punch in is. And if you can't do that shit in the first take, you know, if you get to your last word and mess up, too bad. Start from the beginning. You know what I mean? And so there was no like thinking about it, pondering it, reevaluating it, rewriting, reworking. You know what I mean? A lot of the shit with underground West Coast, I can't speak for everybody, but I know West Coast underground very well. And everybody was like, show up to the studio, here's the beat. You're hearing it for the first time. You kind of scrap together a bunch of other pages you have and write something for the first time. You don't really know it. And you're reading it and learning it as you're recording it. Yeah. Sometimes that's fire where you get these unduplicatable results. Yeah. Or sometimes you get inconfidence and a phoned in kind of performance. And where a book, you have to live with it. You got to live with the words you wrote before they come out. You have time to, you know, change. I don't know. I haven't written a book, so I'm talking out my ass, but that's how I feel. You know, that's what I think about it, because I watch him when he's in the process and he's kind of somewhere else. You know?
Yeah. Editing's a huge part of it. You're going to spend, I mean, well, you know, I don't work with a publisher. I self-publish. So, I mean, I edit my stuff. I mean, I could hire an editor, I suppose, but editing is part of the process, and that's going to take, you know, months itself.
Yeah.
You know,
I've heard that writing it, getting all your content out is like a third, and then the next 2/3 is really editing and grammar and going back through and just fine tuning everything.
It's totally, they're like, you know, for Winding Up Strangers in Bars, I think the first draft took 4 months, and I think I spent another 5 or 6 months on second draft, where I'm just going in and rendering in things with better prose. And then, you know, the editing process comes along, and that's just, there's so much different. I would do different read-throughs for different things. You know, this will be the part where I'm going to edit for consistency. Everything has to be, you know, names have to be spelled the same, you know.
Right.
You know, the time has to be cohesive, and, you know.
I mean, I think even like if you're working on something over a year's time and you're kind of using a dialogue, and then, you know, different fucking slang and whatever happens, and all of a sudden you look and you're like, wow, in the first couple chapters, he's saying hyphy a lot. You know what I mean? It's not so much you know, it's like the consistency of just even the state of mind of this person would be fucking make me kind of nuts to try to track, I think.
Yeah.
Yo, tell me this though, like as someone that writes, we do a lot of editing and stuff as far as like books and layout and comics go, and you know, we kind of double check all the grammatical stuff too. But when you come out with something, is it? I guess what I'm saying is it better to edit yourself on a track, or do you want that first one to be the fire, or like the one that is the hit, like that's the line you go with? You know what I'm saying? Do you go back and look at stuff afterwards and be like, ah, shit, that sounds really good, but we could have done it better? Or you just be like, yeah, that's it, that's what we're doing?
I'm not of a single mind about that, because there are times when your first results are better. They just are. You can go back and re-record and things just get somehow, you know,
like watered down, right? Like a little, like just too worked. Something. You work the dough too much, you know. You gotta let that shit just be free.
Yep. And then there's other stuff that you know you want to refine it. You just definitely know you're going to wind up recording that song maybe 3 times, you know. And just kind of depends on what you're going for and what the vibe is on the project too, you know?
Yeah.
Like with Candy's 22 stuff, Courtney and I have a very good connection where we don't really even have to discuss what we're doing to arrive at the same place.
That's
It's
tight.
crazy how we'll just start writing to the beat. We're like, holy shit, we're talking about the same thing. Oh, yeah. You know?
That's sick. That's like
90%.
Starseed twins, bro.
So we don't really have to do too
So
much.
either we only talk about 2 or 3 things always, or
We're like, we're sad. We're on drugs.
yeah.
So
Wow, we're talking about the
That's
same
me and
shit.
Jim too, dude. Like that's
but as far as like what you're saying is like, you know, overworking or underworking projects, that only comes with experience.
Yeah.
And knowing when you hear it if it needs work or not.
totally.
You know, that only comes with being consistent and like riding that fucking bike every day.
Yeah.
And then you'll know like when something's a little off because you're used to all the qualities of that, what you're hearing, what you're dealing with to analyze that project or whatever, the song or whatever. If you're just hearing it every once a month with a new mix down or something, you're not going to remember the old mix down and the problems, what was fixed. But if it's your life and you're doing that shit every day and you're consistent with it, it might not go perfect for a long time, but eventually you'll line those lines, like I said, will hit where that experience and that fucking actually doing it will line up and you'll be able to hear something and be like, dude, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Don't touch it. Or I think you could do this better, you know? And thank God for modern technology because holy shit, I mean, I have this little blue box. It's a little multi-track recorder. It's like this big. It's amazing. 1010 music. Fucking rocks. That thing saves every one of your takes essentially. So you just do a bunch of take. And I mean, I know Pro Tools and all that shit does it, but it's way more mapping and blah, 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 and computer. And this is just a little thing I plug in with the mic and I can do a bunch of takes and not worry is like, yeah, I do kind of like that one, but I think I could do it better. Before it was like, that shit's gone. We recorded over.
It's somewhere between a 4-track and a full mixing board, and it just like does what you need it to do.
It could be a 6-track stereo, 12-track mono, multi-track recorder, mixer. It's
Damn, that's tight.
It's basically what you said, but bigger as far as ability.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, it's the shit. And this portability ability and not having this fucking weight and albatross of computers and fucking booths and all this shit. And I could just go set up on my roof if I wanted with a little USB mic. Doesn't sound that off from the other shit, really, especially when you find an engineer. And that's what the fucking whipped cream on this project for us has been, is we finally found an engineer that kind of knew what to do with our shit. Because the way we recorded this album, we didn't erase any of the takes. We didn't record over it. We left everything. But then we didn't spend enough time consistently. And when we'd come back, there'd be like 40 takes of my vocals. And I'd be like, oh shit, which was the lead? And the guy who did all the original, Castro, due to just life and some surgeries and stuff, wasn't able to keep working on it. So we had to hand it off to other people who were like, yo, there's like 40 shits of all your guys' stuff. What am I supposed to use? And we didn't even know. And that was a lot of the problem with this record taking so long, was us kind of like arguing with ourselves, being like, I think that's the better take. I think that's no, I think this was, I don't know. And this dude, James, Fun Yoga up here at the Strepto Bunny, he's just this funny cat that I ran into. I live in the middle of nowhere at Oregon now, and he's a promoter, rapper up here, and just cool, you know, like Oregon vibes. And I heard his shit one night at a club, and it was really, he was doing everything over his own production and shit. And I was like, you mix and what? And he was like, yeah, I went to sound school and da, 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 da. And I was like, oh, okay, you want to look at this? And he was just able to kind of, he didn't even he knew better than to like ask us too much, because we give too much of an answer. He saw what he liked, what he thought worked, and whether they were the right takes or not, when we heard it, we were like, this sounds good. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you don't give me 100 options, I won't be as confused, you know? And if it sounds good to me, it gets weird if it's like overworking or underworking. Is there another one that's better? Can I do it again? And we just needed someone to be like, dude, this shit is dope. You guys are tripping. Let me fucking fine tune this. And he did. And because we just had him come do an engineering session for us to record for some other shit. And then we played him some of the sessions. And he was like, I can fix all this. We were like, yeah, we've heard that before. Because it's gone through a lot of hands.
And, says everyone you've ever met. Yeah.
Pretty much, and he did it though. He did it, and props to him as an engineer and all that shit. And he pulled it off, and we are super happy with it. The only fine tuning we're waiting for is some cuts from D Styles, and pretty much that's getting turned in this week. And I'm heading to LA and turning it into Daddy Kev to be mastered. But the vocals, the beats, everything's mixed, all that shit, all the really difficult things.
Hell yeah.
The problem that we created beforehand is already taken care of. So anything after this is starting at a good baseline where it won't be problematic. And so we're just stoked. I mean, nothing's ever gone this smooth for Candies, like
Hell yeah.
career and fun, but it's always been this goddamn uphill battle, whether our personal lives or our career. It's this thing that'll happen. Like we were going to go on tour with like Dilated and all this shit at one point when the Girl and the Gun was coming out and Japan, I basically had a nervous breakdown and fucking, just it didn't happen, and like whatever reasons that conflicted us from going forward. Then it's all meant to be. It's the universe,
Right.
and it was leading to this point. Because if we would have did it then, we would have burned ourselves out. We probably hate each other right now. I don't know.
I was just gonna elaborate on that a little bit. Is like the Girl and the Gun came out with 2011. So this is the first album you guys have done in over a decade together. Like you've been working on it, but now it's almost
first
ready.
Album you're hearing,
Yeah.
First album coming out. We have like a few other albums actually. We have a whole other album, Factor, the second La Vida Blue called Panther Eagle. We got a lot of shit that now that we have at least 10 years of shit, like you said, a decade of stuff we've been recording, just nobody's heard it. We're in different states and life. But now we're on this weird momentous roll. That's what I'm saying. Everything's lining up that not only is the Candies record going to drop, but we're able to like go through all these old files and with the new engineer, James' assistance, because he knows what our shit is now and how to fix it. He's going to be able to clean up all this shit. I mean, I got a whole album with Big Just. I got that shit with Jupiter. I mean, I got a lot of shit, and we got a lot. I mean, we were sitting listening to like 20 Candies songs the other night that nobody's ever heard that are pretty dope.
Just like crazy potential.
Next song, we got to work on this record. We got to do this. And you're so busy, things just get shuffled aside. You forget. Mm-hmm. And then you realize, oh my God, we did that song with this dude and that, Chrome and Shaman Cassette. And we have all these random ass, like kind of feature things, but we can use them because they were for us, And these dudes were like, I would have used it, but you guys been holding on to it for years, like, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, it's just all like really good. It's a roll, like shit's going well. Mentally, physically, we're kind of in the best places of our lives. Like, you know what I mean? He was a fucking mess, dude. When we were in rehab together in 2013.
2009. Wait. Elaborate on that. You guys were in rehab together at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah, we got there. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. Music Cares. Shout out to Music Cares. Like it's that takes care of like musicians and shit. And, like I was just a fucking mess in LA and Hollywood and around a lot of rocker people, and like nobody knows, no rap shit knows about Music Cares. And some of these rocker dudes, fucking Dead Kennedy's homies and shit, took me there. And they were like, we're putting you in rehab. I thought I was going to some fucking trash ass place. Dude. And like we had some other things going on, labels being mad because we weren't turning shit. He was drunk as fuck. I was on dope. And I was like, yo, man, come, like, let's do this. And basically, like, we were getting in trouble because we weren't. And so to get everyone off our shit, we're like, well, what do we got? And so they did, and we did, but it was really good for us. But while we were there, fucking, they were like, you're going to die. You know what I mean? He had cirrhosis internal and all this shit. And they're like, if you don't stop drinking if you drink again in the next 4 months, you'll die. I think he did drink again in the next 4 months, maybe, but not as bad or whatever. But regardless, we were in such bad shape where it was literally like, you guys are going to die. Like, and that's like a common threat or whatever. But this was doctors. It wasn't like the homie, like, oh, he's like, this was like, they took us to like, medical, blah, 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 and do testing. And it was a really nice facility in Burbank. Yeah. It was ran by Slash's personal sober coach and shit, who started Cocaine Anonymous. And he was just a funny, weird character. It was all shyster shit, man. All that high-end fucking rehab shit. Think, AA is essential. Sobriety is the shit. And whatever gets you to AA, fuck yeah. But that's just for fun and for free. Whereas all these rehabs are kind of like juicing your insurance. I got snuck into a rehab under Obamacare on somebody else's shit. Like, they were doing such shady shit. The last rehab I was in, I think the dude's in federal prison now. There's a thing on 2020, with like a 2020 documentary about him. Chris, if you look up Walking Miracles Los Angeles, the rehab I was in, yeah, that one was fucking nar shit behind it. It was a scam. He was on meth trying to fuck the girls. It was all bad. But anyway, the one we were in was nice as shit. They take us to Starbucks. They give us fucking Ralph's. We were living in a fucking condo in Burbank, basically, like North Hollywood, 2-story condo. They allowed us to be roommates. Like all these rules that they just did. Like, yeah, you're not supposed to because you guys are friends. But we're like, well, we're working on a record. Like, they let us bring all our gear into this fucking 2-story condo. And all these people had condos in rehab, but they had cameras, so you couldn't go out of your doors at night. But they didn't do cameras on these roof access doors. So everybody was partying in each other's rooms and fucking and shit. Like going to go from rooftop to rooftop and shit. And I could sneak out the side, man, Misty. I don't want to get the people in trouble. I don't think they work in recovery anymore. But fucking Misty, who was what's dude Butthole Surfer's name? Gibby Haynes. She's his ex-wife. She was our tech, one of the techs, and I knew a way to sneak out, and I could go to Fatburger and Starbucks and shit and get away. And if I brought her back shit, she'd let me do it. It was fucking. Dude, it was so crazy. It wasn't a good rehab, but it's the one that Kurt Cobain ran away, jumped the wall, and people were throwing tennis balls of heroin over the fence to him.
Yeah. No, I've heard about that story. That's fucking wild, bro.
We went to rehab. It didn't stick, but it was a seed. I feel like all that shit was seeds that were planted, and eventually that garden grows. You know, I learned shit there. I just wasn't able to immediately apply it. I tried and failed. But that's all it was. His last 20 years was trying and failing to get off dope, and eventually I did. You know what I'm saying?
Congrats to you guys, though.
Physically, like I was gonna die if I took a hot shot. Blah blah blah. I would eat all the time. He was like his body shutting down. So for the state that he's in now, I mean, I don't want to be all like fucking Richard Simmons about it and shit. But dude, I mean, you don't eat sugar. You don't. Full used to drink gasoline. Okay, so like when I'm like, oh, you wanna taste this cracker, and he's like, I don't eat flour. I'm just like, I can't believe you have that amount of willpower or whatever.
Man.
I can't fucking do it. Like I'm a 50-year-old man that eats like a goddamn baby with money. You know?
Hey, well, like, I have to say nothing but respect for both of you, man. I know the journey to get to sobriety is never an easy one. The fact that you guys made it and are here, it's a beautiful thing, man. So congratulations to you both on that.
Full disclosure, we're not like fully sober. Like, I mean, he more or less is. He'll smoke weed once in a while, but I smoke and I'll have a drink once in a while or whatever. But
that's California sober.
Yeah. Nah, that's fine, bro.
I don't fuck with heroin and needles no more.
Yeah, that's about as sober as we can ask for, you know?
Yeah, I'm not crying in front of a mirror trying to find a vein and just going, who eyes got it?
So let's get back to this new Candies 22 album real quick. We were talking just a minute ago, you were saying about how like things change so much, you know, and obviously over the last 20 years, things have changed a lot. As you're writing this and going back with the Candies stuff being written 6 years ago, are you noticing like that change in the voice or that need to go back and kind of re-edit it to make sure? Or are you guys feeling as you go back and listen, you're like, fuck, we were dope back then. We were crushing it. This is exactly what I wanted it to be.
I think it's a prime kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I think, you know, what you get to our age and you're, say, maybe as cynical as we are, you're in danger of looking like a grumpy old man, but we've been grumpy old men since we're fucking kids.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, that kind of, you know, that pings a little bit, but more than anything, it's just the same. I mean, we're the same, you know, we're honest about what we're doing and going through it.
The thing I don't mean to go on and cut, but it really is important is with Candies, I feel it's kind of timeless. You know, like I listen to this stuff and it doesn't feel dated, even though like, I don't know, and this record, even though most of the lyrics were written over 5 years ago, they're fucking poignant as shit to what's going on today, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I think so.
And I mean, I reference Obama in the song. You know, that's how long ago we wrote the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But should I change it? No, it's the same goddamn circumstance, and it's the same bumper sticker. Like it applies. Like in our shit, the way we view the world isn't. This is the way it is. It's the way we see it, and we hope it could be this way.
Yeah.
You know, it's perspective, not a fucking direction.
I gotta
You
ask
know?
this too, because you said the word timeless, and you guys use a lot of samples on both the Candies albums, Girl in the Gun and Livin' La Vida. It's like old school jams. You'll catch some like soul or like some Motown or like some of those hooks in some of the songs that you guys do, and that almost lends to that timelessness, but it also lends to that like drug era-ness. The more you learn about music,
to another time. It's timeless, but it's a reference to another time.
Right.
If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, because we're nostalgic as fuck. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, dude, fuck today. I don't want to.
yeah. But everything seems old school. You know what I mean? Like everything seems like it has like that kickback vibe.
I'm not concerned, but interested, because this record is not like that.
Yeah. Really?
It's not a sample-based record. There's one track, right, by Castro and Progeny that has samples. It's kind of hip-hoppy like that. Don't get me wrong, it's a hip-hop fucking album. It bangs. And we are still very true to ourselves. If you put this over a country instrumental, it would work. Yeah. You know what I mean? But a lot of this was made by like Gun Down Wolf and my brother In Space, Christian Gibson Music, and Factor and Castro and Progeny, and it has a very electronic kind of feel. And it was almost funny when we started it. I was like, 7 years ago, the first track to set it up, I was like, this has this drive by. You know, I just want to do this track. Let's just do this track. It's funny. I just want to see what it sounds like. And we loved it, and it spawned this whole thing. And we're curious. I mean, they bang. I mean, you heard that little video clip.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a sample. It's not like folky or like most of our shit. Guitar. It's not like
very
that.
synth oriented.
Yeah, synth oriented, like
drive soundtrack.
Yeah, I hate to say that, but you know that vibe, that fucking electronic synth wavy type of shit.
No, totally. I'm not saying you didn't have like bangers like that on the last albums either, but it was like a lot of it. Like
had the old Candy shit, all our stuff up until this actual record has had a distinct character, a vibe. Yeah. This is the first thing deviating hard from.
Yeah, I was honestly puzzled by the direction Courtney wanted to go in. I was like, I like this. I don't see how this is gonna be Candy's record, but it is. It absolutely is, and unmistakably so.
Well, that just speaks to your guys' ability, and like we said before, the authenticity. You know, when you can hear the artist in it, no matter what style, or even if they shift a little bit, it really speaks to your guys' ability to voice your opinion and to have your voice heard for what it is, rather than trying to fit in some pigeonholed little pocket or whatever.
Yeah, we love the traditional Candies vibe. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be plenty more stuff like that. I mean, that's just in our blood. But this was just the thing that started happening. I did all that weird electronic shit in Europe, the Excuse My French album with the Institute guys and all that. And it just kind of started, and then my brother got really into all this like gears, modular shit, and it just really opened my eyes to like LFOs and filters and the sub frequencies of stuff. And then when we started working with these dudes that were producing that type of shit, I don't know, it just went that way. It wasn't like I want to do this kind of record. Just somebody presented some beats, and it just snowballed. And it's like you take Jello Biafra and put him over some country shit. It sounded like country. Put him over a fucking beat, he's rapping. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like straight out. So it's really just like, we're not, like we've said, I don't know if we've expressed this enough, but we don't really care to like find this new fan base or, like it'd be nice. It's cool. We're not going to exclude it, but it's really for the people, our fans. So like we started the conversations. The fuel that lit this is not like not obligation, but a want to give them what they deserve, and we hope this is it, but evolution is a thing. We've all grown up, we got to change a little bit. We got to evolve and expand our tastes. And if we're stuck in the same thing forever, life is monotonous and routine and just not eventful. And, you got to want to explore shit. And for me, I was having this conversation the other day. My wife's like, why do you like jazz so much? I hate fucking jazz. And I'm like, hip hop got me into jazz. Like that's because I was looking for samples and they're like, oh, J. Rue and fucking Thelonious Monk or what, Charles Mingus. And not that we want to broaden horizons, but I think it kind of will in a weird way. Like these things that it's like, we didn't mean to do. I don't think anybody means who's truly influential or changes anything is setting out to do that. They just do it what feels right.
Yeah.
And it either clicks and changes shit or it doesn't. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're at this moment where it doesn't matter what the outcome of this is. We're ecstatic.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fuck
But it's going to work with our people. Because anybody that's really our fan and has been a fan has already connected with us. And so if they've connected with us, it's not hard to connect with us on this record.
Dude,
these beats made their own case.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of found their way into, being the format for this record. And Candy's 22 listeners have always been so unbelievably encouraging that it's easy to get motivated to make music for these people that like this music, because they've been nothing but supportive.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
You know how many times I fucking cried wolf? And it wasn't crying wolf. We were sincere when we were like on a ball. We're working on the record. We're getting the mix. We're doing it. Like every 2 years, this call of like, I need this DJ. I need this, blah, 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 blah. I call 100 people. Like, you got to finish this. I need the new mix. And everyone scrambles. And then we're like dormant, and because shit went crazy of all these other factors I brought up. We were trying. I wasn't just saying it in hopes that it would start happening. We were actually doing it when I'd say it. And shit would fall apart. And this is the first time where it's like, no, we can say it because it's done. It's fucking done.
Yeah.
You know what though? There's something about that, in my opinion, especially when you're creating art, about timing is everything, and you cannot force it. Like, yeah, you guys may have wanted to try and put this out every 2 years and try to rev it up, but the universe is like, hold on, it's not the right time. Hold on, it'll be there. And then now it's able to happen so organically without forcing it. I can't wait to fucking hear this shit.
Yeah. I imagine by the time you guys are ready to air this, we'll at least have a couple singles out. And so we'll be able to give you a couple songs, maybe even one that's not out at that timeline or something to put in intro, outro, or whatever. If you want.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we have the link to the Candy's site.
I'll send you the unmastered version. Just don't play for nobody. Craig or nobody, no matter how much they ask you.
Okay, all right. You have my word. Hell yeah, if you're willing to do that. I won't show you. I won't even show Matt.
Yeah. Hey.
You two can hear it.
Yeah, but check this. This is my this is gonna be my Jerry Springer, rest in peace, final thought, is that a piece of art, maybe like a painting or a song, might not take that long. But to put together a collection, a show, an album, like a full here's what we're doing, takes a lot longer. So I'm stoked to hear everything you guys are doing. I'm looking forward to it. We'll put this out like when you guys want us to put it out. But we're just fucking stoked to talk to you guys. And fucking Barfly, nice meeting you, doggy. Courtney, thank you for fucking talking to us again, bro. Like, this means a lot, bro.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I hope it was eventful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to plug before we head out? Any people you want to say what's up to, or anything you guys got coming up?
And shout out to Sun Yoga. It's been such a pleasure to work with. He's done so well on this record for us.
That's real. Nick Nack. There's just certain fan homies that just would not let up on us. We're like, put that shit out. Why aren't you mixing it? There's people, but those are the people we're using for the artwork. Those are the people, everybody that was there for us, and we're incorporating them as much as we can into this. This painting is from Kat from LTS. Cody, he kind of had a mental breakdown. He's up in Seattle living a wild life, and we have a song, Nervous Breakdown. And the art, it just lines up. I've had this for many years, and we've always wanted to use something from him. And just the way the universe, like we've been saying, lining up, everything's meant to be. These things are presented here for us to go with the record because it was meant to be happening now.
Right now, exactly.
But, just the people, whatever. But shifters, shifters are being active. We're doing a bunch of shit right now. C-Mac's out there hustling still. I cannot believe it, but he is. And
so hustling, man.
Oh, I don't know what time. It doesn't matter saying shows because we don't know when this will come out. But we're going to be doing some shit about this month and some visionaries and a bunch of shit. And so, we're going to be hella active. And we just want everybody who fucking didn't let us fall off. Thank you. We love you. That's it.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm stoked that you guys are ramping back up. Like I said, I can't wait to hear the stuff. You guys have always been super rad dudes, amazing artists, and I feel honored to get to know you guys and to sit down and just bullshit like this with you guys. It's been great.
Thank you. Thanks for having us again, making us look good.
Hell yeah, you guys do that yourselves.
Hey, fucking eggs bacon. All right, I'm gonna do a little quick outro, but stay on the line. This has been another episode of the Ratnest podcast. We'll catch you every week on Fridays for video on YouTube and anywhere you stream your podcast for the audio. Check us out every week with more interviews. Jim?
Hey, welcome back.
Hey, it's been a good one.